What's up everybody, Doug Lane here, Fast Lane Car Care. We've got this late build 21 Passport. Could be a 22 technically, whatever. I'm gonna show you how to do these little port windows here. These little fellas here. These are really difficult to do and get them perfect. And I've seen a lot of companies around here will just leave a cut line here because obviously, you know, your customer's not looking up in behind the seal, but from the outside to me it looks trashy. And I've seen some people like push on the glass from the inside with their film, and somehow that causes enough of a shift that they can get their film in there. That never, it worked for me on one window, not even one car, just one window. Every one of these that I've worked on, the seals have been too tight, so I pull them out. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. I will put the years that this fits in the description, but your Passports, your Pilots, they're basically the exact same. A couple of the tools that you're gonna need: you will need a Phillips screwdriver, you will need some kind of a pick tool, you will need a 10mm socket, and a ratchet, or you could use a wrench, ratcheting wrench. And I'm gonna use my impact with a 10mm swivel. And let's get started on it. The first thing you're gonna need to do, hit your power button twice, drop both your windows. This is a good time to turn your lights off of auto and all that good stuff. Although Honda always has their daytime running lights on. So what we're gonna do in here, hopefully you can see, because I can't see you, but there's a little tab up here. And you're just gonna gently take your pick tool and just kind of push down on that to depress it and then pull back towards you. See how we just gently kind of pulled that out? Now what I like to do is I like to throw all of my parts and pieces right there in that cup holder. Now you could use a screw gun or whatever to remove your screws, but it takes like 15 seconds. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull this door panel off, and there's one more screw hiding right there. Hopefully you guys can see that. It's a Phillips screw as well. Now what you'll notice is these screws are different. The two out of the door pull are different than the one that I'm removing right now. Let me show you. Okay. See how these kind of have a shoulder on them? That centers up in this in the door panel hole. This does not. So you can't really mix those up. Now, there's plenty of spaces. You could use a panel removal tool, but on these, you have plenty of room to get a hold of it. And then I like to just grab a hold of it, and I like to take one hand and push against the door and just pull. And then when I get to this side, I'll take my knee, put it up against the door. See if you can see that. And same thing. You're just firmly pulling your... If you've ever done this before, it's super easy. I like to make sure all my tabs are out. And you're just gonna rock this end up. Okay. Now, in a perfect world, you'd have some kind of hangers or whatever, but I don't. But these rods here that you're putting pressure on, they're both metal. They're not rods, I guess. They're cables, they're metal cables, so they'll support that weight. The important thing is this door cannot be shut. You cannot shut this door anymore. Otherwise, you're gonna damage your panel. And then, basically same way, this is your little blind spot indicator light. That lights up whenever there's a car in your blind spot. Now, what I do is I'll take my 10mm here and I loosen these up, not all the way, I just loosen them. And you can probably see the mirror is shifting. Okay, so I'm just gonna loosen those up a little bit. And you can see I've got a lot more play right here. What that's gonna allow is it's gonna allow this gasket to slip out past it. There's no need to take it all the way off. So now, the second thing we need to do, or I guess third, fourth, I don't know, whatever. what we need to do is we need to get this crossbar here, or whatever you want to call it. I'm sure there's a technical term for it. And all you're gonna do is peel back your weather stripping a little bit. Take your Phillips screwdriver. See that? Pull it out. This is one bit where having a magnetic screwdriver really helps. I like to put all my parts right back there. Now, you can use a ratchet, you know, no big deal. I'm gonna use an impact, and I will remove this screw entirely, bolt, this bolt here entirely. Now, on the pilots and passports, there's one more that you need to be aware of, and it's this black one right here. And this is where the swivel comes into play. I don't remove this one all the way. Come on now. I only loosen it, and I'll tell you why. If you take this all the way off, this is your window track. This right here is what keeps your window in place. I don't know if you guys can see that. Hopefully you can. If we remove this one too, this thing's just gonna flop all around, and it's a kind of a pain to get it back in the window, or get the window back in the channel, get it all lined up, all that stuff. We don't need to remove it all the way, we just wanna create some slack. Now what we need to do is take our weather strip, and I don't advise taking a pick tool to this because you can poke a hole in it. But if you wanna use a screwdriver, or you could take your pick tool and go sideways like this and just kind of pull out on it. But a screwdriver also works. A flat screwdriver, something like that. They kind of have like this double-sided tape stuff up here in this corner. So for me, I just like to finish, like just find a place where it's gonna give you a little bit of clearance here, where you can actually grab a hold of it. This is another place where like a plastic panel tool would be pretty useful. In fact, we'll just grab our metal one here. I'm a little bit in a hurry today, so I just want to get this done. Be careful whenever you're jamming anything metal in here. You don't want to bend this thin metal. But all you're doing is right there. You just want to get this out so you can get a hold of it like that. And we don't even need to pull it out of the bottom. We want to pull it down out here at the top. Now if you can see, we got our window sweep right here. We want to just push that back so that we can finish pulling this like that. That's perfect. Okay, so now we're just gonna pull that bar back. See how that works? And now it's gonna get snagged on that window sweep too. So just make sure you push that window sweep back out of the way. That's gonna give you more clearance on this. And you know, just be careful. If you need a little more room, just give yourself a couple more turns right there. You don't need a ton. This should probably be enough. Now we're gonna slide this whole window just like that. We're just gonna slide it back. Our bar is touching right there, so there we go. That's plenty. Push it out. Boom. Okay. Now what I like to do, put a towel back here. Now you want to take this glass out. I like to make sure I put them on the correct side. So the driver's side stays on the driver's side, passenger side stays on the passenger side. Give it a little spray. Give it a little scrub. I like to scrub my edges. Just helps it from getting any trash sucked back in there. And then take a towel, wipe these off. Now I already cut out my front door patterns for this, and basically all I did was I just used the scrap off the top to cut out these quarter windows, port windows, whatever you want to call them. Just Just verify that our release liner is on the correct side. Now I'm going to put my release liner down on this, okay, but my release liner is still on the tint, so this is still protected, it's still safe. Take my little fusion here, that's just going to give me some stick. Take my knife, this is probably the most difficult part. It's one of the reasons why I use a white towel. I don't even know if you guys will be able to see it very well, but I'm basically just cutting inside the edge. Now, you don't have to worry about getting this spot on because your gasket's going to cover it, but you do need to be careful that you don't get too far away from this top corner. The corner is the shallowest part of the gasket, the top corner. Now the bottom corner, or the whole bottom edge, you can be pretty far away from it and your gasket's still gonna cover it. So right there, boom, boom. We'll just tear that. Okay, now we'll just kind of round this off. Okay, that's a little bit further away than I wanted. But here's the beauty of it. What you can do is you can usually look at the outside. If you look carefully, you can see where your seal is going to cover and where it's not. So now, time to get serious here. Now I'm not afraid to touch the very bottom here because that's all going to be covered. So now, basically as long as you don't touch the towel, you'll be fine. So now let's say you need to adjust this one way or the other. Like you can see, this is not pretty at all, but it's definitely going to be covered. So it's not a huge deal. Depending on how much slip solution you have, this may try to move around on you. And I actually like it to be a little bit slippery. So that way I can look at it and say, okay, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but there's our line. Our film is completely, it's completely past all the gaskets. So we don't really need to worry about adjusting this at all. If you needed to fine tune it one way or the other, this is where you do it. And now I'm just gonna try to remove as much moisture as possible from this glass. Now there's a really particular way I do this, and I'm gonna tell you why. So I always do the driver's side first. I break it down, I tint it. I break it down, I tint it, and now I'm gonna heat it up. So what I'm gonna do, I like to hold it over the car just in case if I drop it, it's not gonna hit the floor. I've never dropped one, but you could easily do it for sure. I'm gonna heat up my edges mainly. I'm gonna flip the glass over, and I'm gonna heat this side up pretty good. Now you notice I got my hand and my fingers obviously under here, so I can feel how hot the glass is getting. Yeah, it's pretty hot. I'm gonna sit it there on the towel, throw this away. I'm gonna leave my thing back here, my keg hose. So now that window is really nice and hot. Here's the problem. If we would try to install that right now, the glue's gonna be warm still, so it could still shift on us. And the biggest thing is putting this glass back in that gasket. If your film is overhanging or if it's not adhered quite, you know, it's not tacked up enough, you can peel your film back off that edge. You're gonna get dirt, crap, and all that down in there, and you're just not gonna get as good of a result, or worse, you'll have to start over and do it again. So I heat it up pretty warm, and then I just leave it cool down while I'm doing this one. Really? There we go. All right. I've timed myself on these, and I made this video before, but something happened to the SD card, and it did not, the video was just gone, as if I never hit record, but I definitely did. So, yeah, we'll get in here, try to get you guys a decent angle. If you're just starting out and you've never used like an impact gun or anything like that, I would definitely stick to hand tools, because these bolts and screws are not very stout. You could easily strip them or damage your panels, because like these ones here just thread into plastic inserts. Come on now. Yeah, I really wish the magnetic tip worked on that. So they just thread into plastic inserts, so if you over tighten them, you can strip those out and then they're loose again. Same deal. Now also, it should go without saying that since your door panel is off and you're moving your window track, you cannot roll your windows up at this point. That will cause a bad time. I've never done it, but I would assume that it'd have to ruin the window regulator. Oh yeah, we need to take that part off. Duh. I like to sit them up there so they don't get lost, I don't forget about it. Come on, little buddy. There we go. There we go. Where is our other bolt? That's, oh, duh. These are, really similar to pretty much any other Honda and a lot of the Toyotas. They go together pretty much the same. So if you've done one, pretty much you've done them all, with a few exceptions. I don't remember if I was just thinking this or if I actually said it, but I've timed myself on these. Oh yeah, that's right, because I was talking about the other video and how it was like gone. I've timed myself on these, and I can have them both out and tinted in 10 minutes. So a lot of guys will say, oh, that adds so much time, blah, blah, blah. If I'm not sitting here making a video, I can have them out, tinted, and done 10 minutes. And then you might as well figure another 10, maybe 15 to get them stuck back in there. We're sitting there scrubbing the wrong side. There's really no reason or explanation on why I like to do them in the back of the car, except for, I guess, probably less dust. I've done them like on a toolbox or on a deck lid or whatever, cover it up with towels and all that, and do your thing. But I don't know, I just find that this works pretty well. I mean, if you want to get a little angle there, you can, you know, you can roll up a towel like this. Stick it under here, and that way your dust and stuff rolls off. You know, it's really however you want to do it. Look at that, got big old hair. I find that you're really only going to get a couple of specks in your film doing it this way, which, I mean, there's really no other way. I mean, you're going to get a couple specks no matter what, especially a window this small if you're sitting there. I've seen some people stick speaker wire in this seal to create space. One, I think that's kind of trashy, just my opinion. Two, you're dislodging a lot of junk in there, so I'm sure, especially like this one only has 5,000 miles on it, about 5,500 to be, you know, exact. But you get a lot of these that have 30, 40, 50,000 miles, and you know nobody's cleaning these little port windows, so they've got to have all kinds of junk in those seals. I'm sorry, you guys are probably like not able to see anything, but alright, so there we go. Slightly prettier. You could, if you wanted to, just kind of cut these off and shave them. I just find it takes a lot longer, even though you heat them up. Like, it's really difficult to hold the film while you have, or the glass while you have film overhanging. It just doesn't really work out for me. So I would rather just have a slight gap all the way around the edge, because it's just going to make sure that I can install it quicker. Now I gotta do that again. Come on, buddy. All right. Again, I'll grab a hold of this bottom edge just barely. Just give it a quick little mist. Now let's say your film did end up overhanging slightly. You know, it just shifted on you or whatever. You could always come back and shave that. Or what I will usually do is I'll just cut on the inside edge again. See, like, let's say this was good and this over here is overhanging. You could just cut down through there, or you could try to shave it after you've heated it up. For me, it just never works that well, so I like to just shift it. I like to just rub my fingers over it, make sure that it is not overhanging, like over the edge. Make sure it's not going to snag, because that's going to be the worst thing for you. Trying to wrestle that in there and have it overhanging. Okay. Same deal. Don't worry about the fingerprints and all that stuff, because you're still gonna have to wrestle this thing back in the car. And then you can wipe them off. No big deal. Can't tell if that's just soap residue or if I got a little bubble there. So we're gonna put a little pressure on it there. Well, whatever it was gone. The big thing here is just keep the heat moving, because if you don't, you can melt your film, burn it, then that's not good. So I like to heat up both sides of the glass, mainly because if I heat up this side, you know, it's only heating up part of the adhesive. You know, the heat's not getting all the way through, but if I heat up the front side of the glass, then it's slowly going to dissipate to the other side, and it's gonna let that adhesive cure up a little bit faster, in my opinion. Now, let's get our tools. What do we do with that razor blade? Did we already throw that away? I don't think we did, but now I can't find it. Oh well, maybe I did, I don't know. So anyway, now it's time to wrestle this back in the seal. This is cool. It might be a little bit over room temperature, that's fine. You just don't want it to be like super hot. And my preferred method is to slide it in this bottom part, then slide your seal, shift your seal a little bit so you can get it in this top edge, this top part right here. I'm gonna try to do this in a way that you guys can actually see. If you're gonna drop this glass, it's probably gonna be right here. Summertime when these are, there you go. So start your top corner or your front corner, bottom corner, whatever you want to call it. Then come over here, pull this part up so you can get your whole front edge in. Now start your back edge and start kind of working this up. And if you hear a crinkle, you got two choices. Keep going and try to press it out once you're done, or stop and heat it up or whatever. But this is the hardest part, is just getting this top edge stretched, this top corner stretched out over the glass without peeling your film back. It's summertime and these are a little bit softer and a little bit more pliable. It's not such a big deal. They go together a little bit smoother, but I like to just squeeze it all together, and look at that. We have no light gaps, we've got no cut lines, I don't even really see any dust or anything in it. Installation, basically the reverse removal, I'll show you on this side. We're gonna drop it in this seal here. Right, and we're just going to kind of move this out of the way a little bit just to create some space, slide it down. Now what we need to do is just push that in this channel, ta-da, slide it forward, and the whole time you're kind of pushing down and forward until that gets where it wants to go. Now we'll take this bar and we've got to kind of lift it up and over. It all locks in. And what we're gonna have to watch is see how we've kind of twisted it out here. So we just need to kind of twist it back and see how it's pretty much just right up over top of it. Easy peasy. Okay, here's an easy way to know if you got it right. One, that hole lines up. This hole needs to come over a little bit, but we can do that with just tightening up this. And then let's check here. You can see that's pretty much lined up perfectly. So let's go grab a couple tools. We won't need our pick. We need this and we need this. If you're a real baller, you'd have a set of tools on each side, and then, you know, you wouldn't have to worry about it, walking back and forth. What I like to do is I like to just start my bolts. Come on, little buddy. This thing's making me look bad. We'll throw it in this one if we can. Can't be that bolt. That bolt can't be messed up. Yeah, I'm sure you can tell that I'm turning it backwards. I like to do that so that it like drops in the correct threads. And we'll just sit there for now. Sometimes what'll happen is it just doesn't want to quite line up. And what you need to do, what you can do is just go ahead and start your top screw, and that will pull everything up where it needs to be. See that? See how it pulled it up? And these aren't super tight from the factory, so you don't need to go full gorilla on it. There we go. All right. There we go. There we go. And I'm just gonna snug that up a little bit, not even really snug, more or less finger tight. Snug that up, that'll pull that over. And then if we need to get a little more, you know, you can kind of push on it. Now, this impact is way powerful for this, but since we are using a swivel socket, we're going to lose a lot of that torque. Get on there. So I like to basically just snug it until it impacts a couple times. Now let's see. Let me show you this. Pretty simple. All you're gonna do is just push this channel back into place. It should go right back in, no issues. Now what we could do is at this step, we could go ahead and put our door panel back on, but I'm not going to because I'm gonna bottom load this window. See how this has this little channel? You're basically just gonna kind of push one side of the weather stripping back down, and then you'll push the other side in, if that makes sense. You might have to just kind of play with this, run your fingers over it a couple times until it locks in, but you'll figure it out. See, and we'll push this side in, probably push this side in first, right through there, just kind of push it and let it lock in that groove. Look at that 5,000 miles, it's already got some surface rust starting on the door frames. We just pulled it back out when we checked on it. Okay. This is usually one of the hardest parts, and it's not even hard, it just takes a minute. Because I'm really picky. I like to make sure that these things look, yep, that's locked back in. I like to make sure that these things look like they've never been, you know what I mean? Like they just came off the factory floor. And so sometimes when you take these apart, like they just don't, I don't want to say they don't go together right. They just don't always, the weather strip just doesn't always sit in there like it did when it was new. It's not gonna hurt it or anything, but I like to finagle it. I'll spend a little bit of time finagling it, getting it right where I want it to be. Same deal. Rock this bottom edge. This one's still a little bit warm. I would like it to be a little bit cooler, but I have no idea how long this video is, and I don't really want it to be longer, so this is getting 20% Orbit, which is a color stable dyed film, lifetime warranty film. And then we will also be doing so we're doing 20% on the windows, the sides, to match the factory tint, and then we're gonna do a 35% full windshield. So that's cool. And then we've got another one sitting outside that's getting the same thing, actually. Well, not a windshield, but 20% all around. No strip, thankfully, because I don't have time for all that. So we'll just clean this up just a little bit, just so you guys can get a better idea. Like, look at that. There's no cut lines, no light gaps. We don't have dust specks all through it. And like I said, I can have these out tinted 10 minutes. You figure it's gonna take me an extra, let's say 20 minutes, 30 minutes a car. Normally I charge extra for these. This is a repeat customer. I've done, I think this is the third vehicle for him in just a couple years, which, you know, it means a lot to me. And it was honestly my fault because she told me what the car was and everything, but I just forgot. Like I just didn't, you know what I mean? I just didn't quote that extra price. So now what we got is we got our part of our seal just trying to not be a stand-up guy there. There we go. Move it into place. Okay, we can check. That's lined up. That hole's basically lined up. We can go ahead and tighten this up a little bit. You can, I don't know if you can see, but it's pulling that exactly where we want it to go. Okay, so now we don't want to put any more pressure on it this way. We want to pull it up to the top with our little flathead screw. Which we can see needs to come this way just a touch. Oop. A little bit of the weather strip trying to join the party. There we go. When it comes to the pick tools, I don't like to leave them on the seats because they can poke holes and stuff. What we got going on here? Yeah, that's what I thought I fixed. So basically, this little bit of weather stripping on there is, yeah, just joining the party here, and it's just putting enough pressure on there that I can't get my screw in. So I just kind of want to push that back a little bit. If I have to, I can come up this way and move it. It's just trying to, oh shoot. It's just trying to fold up and get in my way. But I think we're good now. Sometimes you might have to pull this up just a little bit. Like, you just gotta do a little finagling, that's all. But they're really not hard. Once you've done a couple of these, they're not difficult at all. I used to hate taking cars apart. I never wanted the liability. Are we serious right now? I never wanted the liability, but you can just get so much better result on situations like this. There we go. That's all. There we go. And I'm not gonna do it, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna lock it all the way down quite yet. I wanna get these bolts started. So the nice thing about these, pretty much all these modern cars, is you don't really have to worry about lining the track back up. You know what I mean? There's really no adjustment one way or the other, like maybe like a 1/16 of an inch or something, if even that. It's mainly just, you know, put your bolts back and plenty tight enough. Make sure you put everything back in order and fasten everything, and you're generally good to go. So again, push this weather strip back down in this groove. Kind of pinch it together and work it down and in. Works pretty well. Make sure we got our top side in here, which we do not. Once you get the bottom or the back side or whatever you want to call it, you pretty much just run your finger over this and it goes right back in place. Okay, and everything's back in the order it's supposed to be. The only thing we have left to do, we can choose to do it now, we can choose to do it later. We can go ahead and put this on. It has to go on before you put the door panel back on. You can technically do it without, but it is a royal pain. Like, you can put the door panel on and then you can kind of finagle that, but it's a nightmare, don't do it. So now I'm gonna leave this door panel off. I'm gonna go ahead and do these front two doors because then I'll be able to bottom load it. It'll be a little bit easier and we won't have to worry about getting this panel all wet and stuff. It's already off. We might as well take advantage of it. Now, if it didn't have those little windows, I wouldn't bother pulling it off, but it does, so I did. So hopefully that makes some sense. Set all that here for now, but all right, you guys have seen me install front windows about 1.5 million times, so I'm gonna cut this video off. I'll bring you back for the finished product. Thanks for watching. All right, everybody, there you go. There's the Passport finished product, 35% full windshield, 20% on the sides. Your front 4 windows here match the factory rear. It's gonna be a little streaky looking because it's obviously the glue's still damp, but no bubbles, no nothing crazy. Give it a little bit of time to dry out, should be good to go. Thanks for watching.